open. So just one of those days, but we'll take a look at them. And so let's go ahead and get started. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for February 26, 2019. Q's up 0.14% and SPY just about flat, trying to hold on to just a few cents there up from yesterday's close. There was a small gap down here on the Q's and SPY. Okay, we got a small gap down and the market got bought. Okay, so while, we were bullish coming into today, we got the gap down, it got bought. So that's pretty much in line with what we expected. Like I was saying here on the daily, we are bullish. The more that we base out here, the more bullish. And then we're watching for some kind of hourly trend change, for a short-term bias change. And then for the long term, it's still back here on this pivot here. So let's go to the hourly, because that is what we got today. Was we gapped down to support and then got bought. So here is going to be our break of support, and then we can go to a neutral bias. Okay, so underneath 172.80. Okay, that's what I'll be looking for on the Qs, and then on the SPY underneath 278.90. Okay, so you could shift to a more aggressive bearish bias early on just based on the short term. I'm going to shift to neutral. That's just a break of the hourly uptrend. You can see the breaks of the hourly uptrend haven't gotten follow through, and that's because the daily stayed strong. The daily hasn't failed on any pivots. Okay, the only kind of pivot it failed on was this sell setup here, right? So we just been working our way higher, grinding. So the expectation is that once we break that pivot, we'll probably go into kind of sideways price action, deal with some of this support created here on the left. Okay, so I thought today, while if you look at the bar today, or even kind of what it did after the first couple hours, didn't really do much, but we now have this reference point to use. Okay, so that's kind of the critical information that I'm going to take away from today. Still be bullish going to tomorrow, and then we'll lose that bullish bias if we break under today's low on the Qs and SPY. Okay, sound good? All right, so that's what we'll be working with going into tomorrow. All right, so let's go over today's stuff. I thought MNK was the best gap today. Market was gapping down. This was gapping up. Very surprising to see that this eventually gets sold. Worked out really nicely in the morning as a 2-minute high-low. So this was my favorite gap here. And then, so this worked out pretty well. I didn't sit through this pullback in all of this, so was feeling like I might have missed out on what would be a nice all-day trend. It was a bit on the spready side. I actually got skipped on the first entry and had to kind of wait for it to get in like 10 cents later than I wanted. But it actually came all the way back down. So this is kind of surprising because this is a pretty good gap. So it got good follow throughout the open. And then I mean, it's not within my plan to short this, but I guess it could have been some kind of good short here at some point, maybe. So that was the MNK. And then today was kind of, I thought, a tough day for me personally, psychologically, because I kind of just, from there, which was a good trade, this was a 3R trade, I just started giving back on the other plays. So eventually, and then once we got out of lunch, the good thing is there wasn't a lot of stuff at the end after lunch to really tempt me into wanting to play more stuff. But I'll go over the other plays too from the room, including the ones that I called. But we'll go over this RLGY first. Sammy had a really nice call. Actually, someone in the room put out the RLGY sell setup here. And then Sammy made it official, gave the numbers and made it official. 1626 by 1661 was the RLGY. Okay, so underneath this bottoming tail here. So really nice play there on the RLGY. This one, if you had held, actually held the hourly downtrend. So if the expectation was that this would be an all-day trend, this actually would have worked out okay. It wouldn't have been easy. I think when you're making new lows here, and you're starting to bounce, I mean, that was a decent sized bounce there. That would be tough to hold through, right? That is a 46 cents bounce. So that's pretty significant on something that was a 35 cent stop. So Yeah, we would have had to live through that, but just made new lows there on the RLGY. That was a nice gap, clearing support here and breaking the uptrend. So you can see this was trying to establish an uptrend recently, and then once we broke through these higher lows, right now the uptrend is over. That was really, really good. This is probably the best play of the day if you caught it. That was a nice call. I think that was the only call from Sammy today. So keeping it nice and efficient there on the calls. So that was pretty good. We'll get into my calls. They were both longs. First was the GSM. The GSM, I was looking for a breakout. I like that we were gapping up. We had some void above, so I was looking for potentially a nice move. It got a little bit sloppy in the morning, so I mean, I didn't play it at any point in the first, I guess, hour really. And then we played it right in here. So triggered us in. It couldn't get over the highs. Now, I did trail this early, but it was according to the plan. This is how I played the breakouts. If it triggers with a wide range bar, which it was at some point, at least wider than the previous bars, and big volume, like typically the biggest volume on the chart, then I either want to trail it to the halfway of the bar. This wasn't that big of a bar, or the inside bar. So that's what we did. Trailed it to the inside bar, gave it a couple cents to 90, trailed it to there. So it was just about a half hour loss on the GSM. Okay. The GSM numbers were 294 by 285. So it was just over this consolidation here for a breakout, looking for continuation higher. Okay, on this GSM. Turned out that that wasn't in the cards for it today, and it broke down. So it was a good thing that we trailed it early. Would have stopped out anyway. This is just according to the plan. My management plan, this is actually the very first decision point I have, is that if I get into something, it puts in big volume like this, that I have to decide if I'm going to trail or not. Either inside bar or halfway point. If it was like a really big green bar, I could have used the halfway point. Because it wasn't that big of a green bar, I waited for the inside bar to form, and then underneath the inside bar, we were out, so we didn't take a full stop on that. Unfortunately, on the FRAC, we did. This was a gap bully here with a buy set up there. It was a little bit extended, but I liked that the 2 minute was curling up underneath on this. Over here, so curling up underneath, looking to get a retest of the highs and then maybe beyond. Here's what the gap bully looked like on the daily. Got a gap down, and we were clearing the resistance, looking for higher. Might have got to target already in the morning. Was a little bit worried about that, but I thought the setup was good. I thought it was holding up well, and then this one just didn't work. That's okay. One thing I did look into, I was kind of reviewing here just like as we were finishing up, and I noticed that the 10:30 reversal time, from that reversal time alone, which like this definitely was within around that 10:30 reversal time, right? So it's basically after the first hour. I am down 6 hours on that reversal time. So I just got to be more careful. I think on this reversal time or after the first hour, I guess a lot of traps get set. So I don't know. Check into your trading as well. It may not apply for you. You may not trade the same things. You may not have the same methodology. You may be not focused on the same stocks. But so something I'm going to be more careful about. It's the only reversal time that I'm down on, and it down pretty significantly. So I'm going to be more careful about this 10:30 reversal time getting sucked into a play that's just a trap. So I don't know. Not a lot of traders out here, I guess, will tell you where they're doing the worst or what patterns or strategies, right? Like, I guess it'd be great if I just came and showed you winners, and only winners. But I think if you can find out that maybe there is a reversal time, maybe it's the same as mine, that we're actually getting a lot of traps and bad setups. I think if you can kind of eliminate that can make more of a difference than just showing you after the fact stuff that moved really well. So Yeah, and so this FRAC was a little bit outside of that reversal time, but not really that far off. So triggered about a little bit outside of it. I usually give it 10 minutes in either way. So you get this triggered around like 10:42, but very, very close. So I'm going to be extra careful going into that first hour here, after that first hour. So, you know, that after that, I did give this NLS a shot, but then we killed it break even. It didn't end up going anywhere. So I couldn't really get anything after the open. And so that was a little bit tough psychologically to kind of be up nice and then just slowly give back, yeah, half of it. So kind of tough. And so, you know, I'm not really that good either at trading the open. So it's not a day that I typically, you know, do well with. Like yesterday, I think the SBRA didn't come up until, yeah, like until 11:15. So, and so stuff like that, you know, I'm usually a lot better about. If anything, if there's going to be a day that's kind of going from one side of break even to the other, I usually struggle a little bit in the morning and then recover. So today was kind of the opposite. So it was kind of unusual, but good to get the experience. I think, you know, I'll have some more time to kind of make adjustments if I feel like adjustments needed to be made. So those were just a few of the plays. I thought there were a good amount of gaps, you know, and a good amount of movers too. There were some things that are pretty spready. So we are into kind of the tail end of earnings season. It's winding down, should be over any day really. And so just be aware that some of these less liquid names are the ones reporting. Obviously not the Qs, but I don't know. I think something like this CMTX or CTMX, something like this, you know, moved a lot, but that was kind of spready. The HSII was a pretty good gap as well. So just be careful, okay? So just make sure if you know what your liquidity criteria is, okay? So that you don't kind of run into any surprises, okay? All right, so we'll just recap here. Q is going to be still bullish going into tomorrow. Bullish until we break the hourly pivot here underneath today's low on the Qs and SPY. Okay, and then if we break that, we'll go from there. We'll shift to a neutral, see what if we get another bearish setup or if we recover from it like we have been doing for the last couple months, really. All right, so that'll do it for today's market wrap. Hope you had a good day today. There was some nice opportunities. I thought I saw a lot of people in the room said they did pretty well, so that's always great to see. A good teamwork today. I thought putting out that RLGY and then having it become official call, and then you know, seeing some people take advantage of it. It's always good to see in the room. All right, so hope you had a good day. If not, we'll be back at it tomorrow and see what the market brings us. All right. Have a good evening.